sixth graders. Today we are going to be answering the essential question of what are equivalent ratios. So by the end of today's lesson, you will be able to identify what a ratio is, and then be able to tell me if if the ratio is equivalent and how to find equivalence, so that tomorrow we can put it into a ratio table. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to decide, or know, not decide, sorry. We want to know what is a ratio. Well, a ratio is a comparison of two quantities, okay? So two amounts. It's comparing two different amounts. So a ratio is a comparison of two quantities. The parts that you can compare, so things that we're going to compare, could be part part. So like part 1 to part 2. You could do part 2 a whole, like the whole total, or you could compare the whole total to a part. Okay, so what exactly does this mean? Well, we could look at this like if I had triangles and circles. Okay, so let's say that I have some triangles here, and then I had some circles in there, mixed in. Okay, first we would want to know like a comparison of circles to triangles. So circles to triangles. So our job first would be to look at how many circles there are, because circles comes first. So we would look up how many circles there are by counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 circles. And then how many triangles? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 triangles. So you could write this as 6 to 4, 6 circles to 4 triangles, or you could write it with the 2 dots which make a colon. This is a ratio. Another way that you could make a ratio is by writing it as 6 over 4. 6 over 4. So you can make a comparison just like that. Okay? So 6 triangles to 4, 6 circles to 4 triangles, 6 circles to 4 triangles, 6 circles to 4 triangles. Now, if I wanted to know like triangles to circles, then I would switch it around and I would say triangles to circles, well there's 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles to 6 circles. So then it would be switched. If it was the whole total, like let's say I wanted to know something like total shapes to triangles, then I would count how many shapes total there are. Well, 6 plus 4, that gives me 10. 10 total shapes to the 4 triangles. So 1, 2, 3, same 4 triangles. And I could again write it any of these ways. Okay, so that is how you compare ratios. Now, we want to know if a ratio is equivalent. So ratios can be compared to other ratios. And so the way that we do that is that we can find out if something is equivalent. So we know that equivalent means equal to or the same as. So when something is an equivalent ratio, it means it's the same thing. So we can determine if a ratio is equivalent by looking at some different math. So let's see here. Let me give you an example. Okay, let's say that I have a ratio of apples to oranges. Okay, so let's say that I have a ratio of apples to oranges. And the first ratio that I have is 1 apple for every 3 oranges, or a ratio of 1 to 3. Now, I want to know, my friend, they have a ratio of apples and oranges that is 2 to 6. 2 to 6. So my friend, they have 2 apples for every 6 oranges. And I want to know, is our ratio equivalent? Well, the way I would determine if the ratio is equivalent is I would find out how we got from one spot to the other. So if I went from 1 apple to 2 apples, that means that I multiplied by 2. If I go from 3 to 6, I am also multiplying by 2. So that means that 1 to 3 is equivalent to 2 to 6. So you could also write it as 1 out of 3 is equal to 2 over 6. So we can determine that my apples to oranges is an equivalent ratio. So this is an equivalent ratio. That should have had a space in it. Okay, equivalent ratio, right? So same ratios, we just had to multiply by 2 to get from one place to the other, right? So times 2 on the bottom times 2 on the top. That means that the ratio is equivalent. Okay, now let's take a look at something else. Let's say that I have a ratio of 4. Let's say I have, I should have written my ratio up here. Okay, sorry, erase. Okay, let's say that I have red cars and blue cars. Okay, so red cars and versus blue cars. Okay, so reds and blues. So I want to know, I have 4 red cars for every 3 blue cars. My friend, they have 5 red cars for every 6 blue cars. And I want to know, are my ratios equivalent? Do we have the same red cars for every blue cars? So our job would be to figure out, how do we get from 4 to 5 and 3 to 6? Well, we know that this is times 2. Well, we definitely are not multiplying by 2 over here. So we're going to write not times 2. And we get this equivalent, this ratio is not equivalent. So 4 out of 3 does not equal 5 out of 6. So this ratio is not equivalent. They do not mean the same things. Okay, it's your turn. I want to do a try it with you. So go ahead and let's do a try it. All right, let's say that you have a ratio of 2 to 6 and 4 to 12. Are these equivalent ratios? That's your job to tell me. Is it an equivalent ratio? Okay, that's try it number 1. And then try it number 2. Try it number 2 says, try it number 2 says 4 to 8 and 8 to 24. Are these equivalent ratios? So go ahead and hit pause right now so that you don't hear me solving. And then when you're ready, come on back and we're going to try them out together. All right, here we go. All right, so 2 over 6 is equal to 4 over 12. Oh my gosh, you can't even see that. Sorry, it's so small. Let me rewrite that. 4 over 12. All right, so to get from 2 to 4, I multiplied by 2. To get from 6 to 12, I multiplied by 2. So yes, these are equivalent because I multiplied by 2. All right, on the next one, I want to know, is the next one equivalent? Is the next one equivalent? All right, let's check it out. I'm going to use a different color so we can see it a little bit better. Okay, so 4 out of 8 and 8 out of 24. So to get from 4 to 8, I multiply by 2. And to get from 8 to 24, I multiplied by 3. So this one is no, not equivalent. Because I did not use the same multiplier on the top or the bottom. So these two ratios are not equivalent. All right. On your paper, I would like for you to please answer your essential question. What are equivalent ratios? And then out to the side, go ahead and check your understanding for me. How are you feeling about equivalent ratios? How do you feel about equivalent ratios? So 1, answer your essential question. What are equivalent ratios? How do you know that they're equivalent in your own words? And then tell me what's your understanding right now, 1, of what a ratio is, and 2, how to find equivalence. All right, 6th graders, it is time now to either go back to Google Classroom and ask for help if you are stuck, or you can head on over to Big Ideas and take care of your practice work. As always, thank you for your hard work and make it a great day the Cougar way.